Okay, what's up, guys? Me and Mike with another webinar for you. Today, we're going to be going over the immunity bundle of supplements that we recommend you be taking coming into this cold and flu season. And I'll try to keep an eye on questions in case anybody has any live, but Mike might have some questions. I got some notes. So, Mike, you want to get us started?
Yeah, so I would think a good place to start is, what would you say the main function of the immune system is? Just a background on the immune system in general, just so people have an idea on what they're trying to enhance.
So what it broke up a little bit. What's the main function of the immune system?
Yeah. Why is it main function? Why is it important for people to try to boost it up?
The immune system really is there to protect against invaders, right? To keep the bad guys out and to be exposed to stuff. So when it is exposed to it again, it can protect you. That's the idea behind vaccines and whatnot, is to expose you to certain things so your body can build up. Antibodies don't protect you, but it's a marker of, okay, I've been exposed to this. So the immune system is really, it's an amazing thing. And we want to try to do work with our immune system naturally. We want to try to work with it naturally where, I won't talk too much about the jabs because that, that's a red flag for Facebook, but a lot of that stuff just bypasses the IgA part of the immune system, which completely circumvents what the immune system is actually designed to do. But the immune system is defense. Think of defense, think of protection.
Cool. And coming into cold and flu season, can you give a little background on what is cold and flu season actually?
So I actually wrote a note about that yesterday. I've heard it before, learned from Poliquin, but cold and flu season, guys, is really lack of vitamin D season, because cold and flu season doesn't exist in places near the equator. They don't have a spike in cold and that doesn't exist. So cold and flu season, vitamin D is really, and we'll talk about that, but it's so essential for the immune system that when those numbers drop, usually people will start bottoming out like beginning of December, especially where we live. Again, we'll talk about that, but that's when you become more susceptible to pathogens, bugs, bacteria, viruses. And these things are always present. They don't go away. They're part of Earth. And there's a lot of benefit to these things. But really, the cold and flu season for us is typically, theoretically, it starts in October. But you're really looking at December, January, February are the big bulk of cold and flu season.
Yeah, like you said, when vitamin D is probably at its lowest due to lack of sunlight and exposure. So D3 is part of the bundle. Can you just go into a little bit behind D3 and what it's actually going to do for us?
Yeah, so D3, so I remember when Charles Poliquin had taught us that if you live above basically LA or Atlanta, you're going to be deficient in D3. D3, you get the main source, guys, is from the sunlight, right? And that's why we were saying people closer to the equator, you go down to Florida, you go down to the Caribbean, Central America, all these places, and you keep going down South America, they're getting exposed to a lot more sunlight consistently throughout the year. But D3 really has to enter through your eye. So even if you wear sunglasses all the time in sunlight, you're not getting the production you should get of D3. It can be absorbed some through the skin as well. But a good thing naturally you can do with that, what I'm thinking of it, is you go outside in the winter months, if you're living up here, and just close your eyes and look at the sun. So you don't do it with your eyes open. You don't want to burn your eyes, but your eyes can still absorb it through the eyelids because they're so thin. But every detox gene, so we got to think of detoxification, is D3 dependent. Okay, D3 dependent. And every cell in your body has a D3 receptor. And D3 is actually, I think we might have talked about this in another webinar, it's actually a hormone.
Yeah.
It's not a vitamin. And if people talked about it more as a hormone, like the medical community, I think people will take it more serious. But D3 is, like, to me, that's the main thing you got to be doing to start out with your immune system.
Cool. So that's the building block dosage. I know that's gotten a bad rap over the past couple of years, but what would you recommend dosing wise?
So we used to do like 30 to 50,000 IUs twice a week, but just for habit's sake, we've started recommending 10,000 IUs a day. It is absorbed better in higher doses. So you could do the twice a week dosage, or you can do you can do it every day. So it is what's called a fat soluble vitamin. you're never going to overdose on vitamin D. You can eat a whole liver. You're not going to overdose. And people that tell you it's completely nonsensical. I use international units were actually created by the pharmaceutical industry. It's a very minuscule measurement. So 10,000 sounds like a lot. It is so minuscule. And I believe, with everything, it's designed, when again, who came out with that international unit, it was to keep people deficient in vitamin D. If people are superior or have upper levels of vitamin D, they're going to be healthier. It doesn't play along with the narrative. Poliquin told us the story of this executive he had that was a big business trip going to China. It's like a multi-billion-dollar deal, and the guy had the flu. So he's one of Charles' clients, and Charles said, "All right, come see me before you get on the plane." It was like a private jet or whatever. He said, "I'll give you a big dose of vitamin D." He injected him with 2 million IUs of vitamin D, and it was enough where the guy, by the time he landed, he was fine. In China, States. So. Dosage, theoretically you could overdose on it. You're not going to do it. I've never even heard of that actually happening to somebody. But you want to get your numbers up. You want to be at, if you get your blood work, the norms are for Homer Simpson. You want to be way upper limit. You want to be above 100, especially coming into cold and flu season. Most people, will see numbers like a 30. I think I've seen single digits in it. So that's a little bit about dosing. Get at least a 10,000 IU pill, and that's what we have at the gym.
Yep. So at least 10,000 IUs a day. And then, like you mentioned, it's good to get blood work to kind of keep up with how is it affecting your levels. And like you said, if you're taking 1,000 IUs or even less, you're probably not going to see a bump in your levels anyway.
No.
So don't even bother really if it's below 10,000.
Yeah. Don't even bother, and make sure. If you're not getting it from us, it's got to be with K2, which helps with not having things calcify in the body. So you got to have D3 with K2. So in a good D3 supplement, there should be K2 as well.
Perfect. Any other notes you want to make on D3?
Very hard to get from food. That's why, we don't recommend a lot of supplements, but the stuff we do recommend is stuff that you can't, it's very, very difficult to get, like from food. You could get it from like fermented foods. Some egg yolks have it. Egg yolk has some, I should say. But for simplicity's sake, very hard to get from food.
Cool. So the next one in the bundle, we'll tackle that kind of go together, NAC and glutathione. So
2 interesting ones. Glutathione is like the master antioxidant within the body. NAC, N-acetylcysteine, is the precursor to glutathione. So you need both of them, but NAC you need to kind of produce glutathione. And reducing inflammation in the lungs. So that's big. I'm prone to getting chest infections when I get sick, and I could get them quite bad, from time to time. So it really caught my interest as far as it's an expectorant, but it's reducing inflammation in the lungs. Glutathione is made in the liver. Now, the liver is the main detox organ in the body. Now, if we talk about antioxidant or its process of oxidation, one of the things that happens with oxidation is you can basically steal electrons, right, from bacteria, parasites, viruses. If you steal the electrons because of the antioxidant property, you basically destroy those things. Right. So it's not necessarily a curative thing. Again, it keeps inflammation down in the lungs, but it allows your body, once they're broken up, to do what it has to do and heal itself. So when you get a virus, what happens is you get replication, and this is what you got to try to stop. And that's what some of the other stuff does too. But those things are key as far as particularly lung health. And you got to watch, guys, because they're trying to ban NAC, so it's going to be harder to get. We do have some, but in the future, it's going to be harder to get. And you got to ask yourself, why are they banning it? It's not dangerous. Why are they banning it? Probably because it's so effective.
Trying to regulate it so you can't get over the counter.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're not going to find it on Amazon anymore. Some of our suppliers have it, but again, who knows how difficult they're going to make it for them to continue to get that stuff.
Yeah, like you said, it is very effective against respiratory issues.
Yeah, and another note I had in there, and it's inhibitory against cytokine. So that's too, with like when you start replicating virus or what, you can get a cytokine storm, and that's when you can get really sick. So it inhibits that process. So yeah, particularly the lungs is really, and I didn't realize, you remember I had the flu a couple of years ago. I never realized that the flu is more of a respiratory illness. I always thought it was like you get nauseous and all that. And then obviously I did a lot of research when I got hammered by it. And that's the main threat, guys, when you get sick, it's the lungs. You got to protect your lungs. Everything else you can deal with. But if you start going down that and you develop pneumonia, you just look what happened with COVID and all that. When it affects the lungs, that's where you got to be careful of.
Yeah. Yeah. And for all the drinkers out there, glutathione is great for, I know they say that if you take it while you're drinking,
yeah,
it makes your next day a little bit better.
Yeah.
Just because of the
to
the liver.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's perfect.
What about dosage for that? NAC and glutathione, would you prefer one or the other? I know the one that we sell has both in it, which is a huge bonus, but dose wise, what would you recommend?
I was looking at about 600 milligrams a day. I got it right here. Let me just look. And that's what I've been doing personally. Yeah, this one's got 650. So in that range, especially if it's a combo, 600 to 650, you should be good. I would only say if you felt something coming on, then up it.
Yeah.
You know, or if you're prone to respiratory things, then when you start getting into mid-November back, then up it. You know, you're not gonna overdose on it. So
yeah. Cool. All right. Next one on the list is zinc. What would you say the primary function of zinc is?
So it basically inhibits viral replication. So that's what you want to do. Like viruses make copies of themselves, right? And if they hit a certain load, that's where you get sick. You have, and by the way, guys, you have viruses all throughout your body. Viruses are not to be feared. They're not to be scared of. They're all throughout the body. They're all around you. They serve a purpose. They're, but when they replicate, so zinc inhibits that. The thing with zinc, though, it's not fat soluble, meaning it can't get into the cell by itself. So for years, I would take zinc, with other supplements like magnesium, and whatnot. But as far as the immune system, you need certain compounds to get zinc into the cell so it can stop. That's where the virus replicates, or bacteria when it's inside the cell. So zinc is also good for hormones and whatnot, but that's the main thing we're looking at for what we're doing. The immunity bundle is inhibiting viral replication.
Yeah, like you said, viruses are unavoidable.
Yeah,
we can avoid the replication and the negative repercussions of the virus with some of the supplements we're talking about today. And then later on, we'll go into some things you can do that aren't supplements that'll help with immune function.
Yeah.
Dosages for zinc, and then if we need to take it in conjunction with anything else.
Dosage, look at 30. I believe I don't know if zinc is dosed in milligrams. So 30 to 45. For years, I was taking the 30 milligram. Newer ones we got 45. Again, you're not really going to overdose on that. It's not really a concern of ours. But it does have to be taken. Like we have quercetin in the wellness greens that we have. So wellness greens got a lot of cool stuff in them, but the quercetin in it is basically, think of it as a transporter. Okay, so that is really, it's called an ionophore, right? And that's what there's certain, I'm not going to say, because again, we want to make sure this video gets out there. Medications with everything going on that it kind of, that doesn't work with this, that doesn't work with this, because they're very effective at treating it, because they transport zinc inside the cell. So over the counter stuff, quercetin does that. It gets across the cell membrane because it is fat soluble. I'm trying to see if I got any other notes on it, but really think of that as a transporter for zinc.
Yeah, and that's our fourth supplement in the bundle in the form of wellness greens, which also has other good antioxidants and tons of veggie servings in it, the micronutrient aspect.
Yeah.
And that's for us powder form into water. You can kind of take it 1 to 2 times a day.
Yeah.
2 scoops of that.
Yeah, I would hit 2 scoops to that, because again, it's a lot of fruit, phytonutrients from fruit. And fruit is really, as far as food goes, the main thing you can eat as far as detoxifying your body is fruit, right? So in an inflamed body or acidic body, that is much more likely to get attacked and come under illness than a body that is more alkaline and not acidic. So get more fruit and stuff like that. So that's where the wellness greens fits. And then obviously eat fruit in addition to that.
Cool. Yeah. So on that same line of thought, in addition to supplements, what else can people do to support their immune function? I know that a lot of this stuff, like D3, there's really nothing naturally that we can do. NAC Glutathione, not a lot naturally that we can do. But in addition to those things, what can people do to boost their immune system?
A couple that come to mind are sleep. Right, sleep is huge. From my point of view, fasting, because 80% of your immune system is located in your gut. You got to give the gut a break sometimes to do what it has to do. Right, like when I did that cleanse recently, I'd had this cough for like 5-6 weeks. Again, I get respiratory things, and it was getting frustrating because obviously we're not living in normal times, so there's a lot of weird stuff out there right now. 3 days into that, cough was gone. Completely eliminated because I gave my gut a break. And so when you actually fast for 3 days, your immune system completely resets itself. So I think that's something, if you feel something coming, or do that once or twice a year, 3 times a year, whatever, but do a longer fast a couple times a year. And then keep your fear levels low, your stress levels low. When fear goes up, okay, stress goes up, makes the body more inflamed, you're more susceptible to infection. So don't be scared of stuff is the main thing, right? And if you're scared of stuff, a lot of times you draw that stuff to you.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of good points. I was reading something the other day. Your body can only fight one thing at a time. So obviously it's not fighting food, but it's fighting to digest and absorb the food when you eat. So if your body is so focused on digesting, immune function kind of takes a back seat. If your body is so focused on stress, immune function takes a back seat. So the more you put immune function to the back seat, obviously the more susceptible you are to viruses and reproduction of viruses. So I think, like you're saying, it's important to give the gut a break, give the stress a break, and let the immune system kind of take priority for the next, especially couple months.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I would just tell people, notice when you're sick, if you feel like eating or not. Most of the time you don't. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, can only fight one thing at a time.
Yeah. A lot of people say, oh, you got to eat, you're sick. And it's like, well, just listen to your body. If it's not hungry, it's telling you, hey, I'm doing what I have to do.
Yeah.
You know? And obviously I would say movement too, movement, getting the blood, getting the lymph flowing. A lot of the immune system also is located in the lymph. Doctors don't really talk about the lymphatic system, but the only way you can move that lymph fluid throughout the body is movement. You need muscles to pump it. It's stagnant by itself. So you got to move. And then sweating and whatnot, right? That's another detoxifier for the body, sweating.
Yeah, and it doesn't always have to be intense exercise, because that could always add to people's stress. Sometimes it's just a matter of going for a 30-minute walk.
Yeah.
Your mind, that's going to help with the stress. It's going to help kind of process lymph through the body. So I think walking, I know it gets a little tougher as it gets colder outside, but I think walking is going to be a huge one.
Yeah, walking is great. It's a great place to start for people. And it's a great thing for anybody to do.
Yeah. That's all I got on the immune bundle. Any questions on Facebook?
No, Facebook's actually weird because when I look at it, it says we're live, but it doesn't come up in live time on my side. I noticed since the last few that we did of these. So
okay,
if there are questions, we can write them out for you guys once we post this. The answers to those. But that was good. I think people will get a lot out of this.
Cool. Thanks, Kyle.
All right, Mike. Let me stop this recording.